Welcome to the Big Time Strength Podcast, featuring small school strength coaches making the big time where they're at. Today, our host, Coach Preston Peterson, interviews a high school strength coach who is creating a big time strength conditioning experience for their student athletes. Today's episode is sponsored by TeamBuildr. TeamBuildr provides strength conditioning software to athletics programs around the country. Whether you write your own programs or want access to over 100 templates, TeamBuildr can make your program more efficient, more accountable, and smarter when it comes to measuring your team's effort in the weight room. Visit their website and start a 14-day free trial at TeamBuildr.com. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoy the episode.
Hey guys, welcome to another week of the Big Time Strength Podcast. This week I got to interview Coach Monty Mathews, who is currently at the New School in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Coach has had stints at the University of Arkansas, Abilene Christian, Boston College, and his undergrad work was at Hardin Simmons University. It was really fun to have Coach on. He gives a lot of great experience. Cannot express to you guys enough how much he is just investing in his athletes, trying to connect, trying to make sure that he is being consistent every single day. And I think he just brings a lot of awesome things to the table. And I hope that you guys get as much out of the show as I did. Before we get to the show, want to give a shout out to one of our sponsors, Optimum Nutrition. Optimum Nutrition knows that athletes train hard to play at the highest level, and all that hard work raises the need for muscle recovery. Optimum Nutrition's athletic program has industry-leading products that can help. Protein is key to muscle recovery, and Gold Standard 100% Whey, the world's best-selling whey protein powder, provides 24 grams of protein that mixes easily using just a glass and a spoon. Gold Standard 100% Whey is made in the Optimum Nutrition state-of-the-art facilities in Aurora, Illinois, and is banned substance tested by Informed Choice. Through Optimum Nutrition's athletic program, you can also get a Pro Gainer for athletes looking to become bigger and ready to eat protein snacks, including protein crisp bars, cake bites, protein wafers, and protein almonds. After dominating the sports nutrition industry for over 30 years, newly created Optimum Nutrition Athletics brings the same trust and quality that knows how to put convenient options for protein in the hands of athletes who desire to become bigger, stronger, and better at their sport. Before we get to the show, guys, I've been reading Inside Out Coaching by Joe Ehrmann, and he talks about how sports can transform lives. And one of the things that has just really been hitting me hard, and something I want you guys to be able to reflect on, as you go throughout your second semester here, as you're pushing through and getting ready for summer and doing all the things that it takes to be at the top of your game. I want you to think about why you actually coach and some of the purposeful meaning behind what you're doing. Why do you coach the way that you do? Here recently, I've been listening. Here recently, before we get to our show, I want to pose a few questions for you. I've been reading Inside Out Coaching: How Sports Can Transform Lives by Joe Ehrmann, and one of the things that has just really stood out to me is 4 questions that he asks, and he says, every coach needs to reflect on these questions, and I think these are a great way for you to really find out the why behind what you're doing, and maybe dig deeper into ways that we can become better coaches. So question number 1, why do I coach? Question number 2, why do I coach the way that I do? Question number 3, how does it feel to be coached by me? And then the 4th question, how do I define success? And he says if we can answer these questions in a way that is transformational rather than transactional with our student athletes, then we can set our student athletes to be successful within their own lives. I really hope that you guys can kind of reflect on those questions, and I definitely recommend the book Inside Out Coaching: How Sports Can Transform Lives by Coach Ehrmann. It's really, really something that's challenged me in a lot of ways, and hopefully something that I can take into my coaching from this point forward. So without further ado, Coach Monty Mathews. Hey, Coach,
Okay.
I appreciate having you on. It's awesome to get a coach that's so willing to come on at the beginning of spring break here and be able to learn, pick your brain. And I know that our listeners will appreciate hearing what you have to say. I know you come from a really interesting background, and now you're at a very interesting school. And we'll get into that just a little bit more later. Can we start out maybe with your background, who you are, where you're from, and how you got to where you're at now?
Yeah, absolutely. But first off, thank you. This is an honor to be able to do this, and I appreciate it. So, name's Monty Mathews, and I'm originally from Amarillo, Texas, and did my undergrad down at Hardin Simmons University. And I got into weightlifting when I was in high school, just kind of on my own. I was raised on a farm and ranch and just kind of fell in love with it. I was the smallest kid, so in my garage, I just started doing stuff and every summer, had no idea what I was doing, and it helped me out in my sports in high school. And then when I went down to Hardin Simmons, I kind of thought, man, I really like this. So that opened the pathway to strength and conditioning. I interned at Hardin Simmons in the spring of 2012, and then it led to an internship at the Boston College for that summer. And I probably emailed, there's no telling how many schools across the country that I emailed. I knew I had to do a summer internship. I started emailing August of 2011 for a summer internship and landed Boston College. I flew up there and was there for a summer, went back to Abilene, and I was working part-time at a PT/strength and conditioning facility, and I was also interning at Abilene Christian at that time. Then went full-time at the PT clinic called Action Zone, and I was there until August of 2013. I moved up to Fayetteville. I started interning at the University of Arkansas. I interned for a year, which then transitioned into the grad assistant position. And so I did that, got my master's, and while I was there, I was in charge of men's golf and women's swimming. And then in 2016, when I graduated from U of A, this job here at the new school opened up. So I took the job. Their strength and conditioning coach and assistant athletic director. So that's how I got here, kind of a circumvented path, but I'm here now.
That's awesome, Coach. And all those experiences add up to an awesome way to deliver a strength and conditioning program at a school that sounds pretty interesting. You know, talking before the show a little bit, can you give us a rundown of what it looks like to be at your school, kind of the transitions that you guys have gone through, and what it looks like maybe going into this next year, knowing this will be the first time that you'll have some of the students there? Do you want to dive into that for us?
Yeah, absolutely. So the name is different. Obviously, when we say the new school, people instantly think it's new, which it's not, but it kind of is. So the school started in 1971, and it was, I think it was a preschool. And it stayed a preschool for the longest time, and then they went from like preschool to fifth grade, and then it went from preschool to eighth grade, and it was at eighth grade for no telling how long. But in 2016, they decided they want to add it to high school. And so when I took the job here, it was going to be the first year of a freshman class. So 2016 through 17, we had our first freshman class. Last year we had our first sophomore class. And this year we have our first junior class. And this coming year we will have all preschool through 12th grade. So we are the new school because it is new and we're growing new classes. But then again, it's been around for a long time. My first year here was very tough because we didn't even have our own facilities. We'd have to bus kids over to go train, and by the time I'd loaded them up, got them off the bus, we had probably 20 minutes to train, and then we'd come back. Last year, we finally got our weight room and gym built, and it didn't open till end of September, nearly 1st of October, so we were still kind of delayed there, but now we're kind of hitting the ground running. We're going to have basketball. Our basketball boys made a run into the state tournament. We got track. We have volleyball. We're adding sports as we grow enrollment. So it's numbers right now is one thing that's kind of a hurdle for us, but we're getting there, and it's cool to be of a program that's building something from the ground up. So
you talked about a couple of hurdles already. Can you tell us a little bit more about some of the tough hurdles that you have to deal with day in and day out, and maybe some of the ways that you're overcoming those challenges?
Yeah, absolutely. The first one just be numbers. Our numbers are kind of low, and trying to just get kids involved. And it's a very high academic school. And so we'll have kids who are involved with, 5 different things, which is great. But I mean, they're doing quiz bowl, they're doing a rock band, they're doing this, and they're doing sports. And so trying to find ways to still get him or still get them there here for practice or whatever it is has been kind of tough, because we'll have kids they have to miss to go study for their pre-calculus test or whatever, because we have kids who are looking at going to Harvard and Ivy League schools. And so a balancing act of that. Another issue we had is until this year, we actually did not have an athletic period. And so thankfully enough, we had some new admin move in, and they gave us 2 periods, one for junior high and one for senior high. So that's freed up some time to be able to train kids, also get practice times in, and then it lets them after school, they can go to rock band practice or they can go to quiz bowl. So that was pretty good. And just one thing I've done is try to be a part of the school as a whole, I guess you could say. I've now become one of the student council advisors, so the kids are able to see me in a different light, and I kind of use those opportunities to let them see me, so maybe they'll feel more comfortable coming into the weight room, because I think a lot of our kids are intimidated by the weight room if they're not this loving sports. And so that's one thing I've done, and I think it's kind of helped. Some kids are starting to come in more and more. So those are some hurdles that we've had.
That's a really interesting point at the end there, Coach. I think that's a huge deal. You know, in a school community, when people can see you outside of what the norm is, and just allows them to be more comfortable with you and see you in a different light, I think that's something that's going to get more people through the door and continue to grow the program. I'm really happy that you're doing that stuff. That's a really cool way to reach out to more kids.
Right, and it's fun for me. I mean, not only do they get to see me in a different light, I get to see these kids in a different way, you know, and I get to see how they interact with their friends, their teachers, and, you know, kind of what makes them tick. And like I said earlier, a lot of them have a lot of more lofty goals academic-wise, and at the end of the day, we're all going to hang up the cleats at some point. And so it's neat to see and hear what these kids want to do. The kid wants to go to Vanderbilt to be a doctor, and you know, not only am I training them hard in the weight room, I want them to be successful in life, main importantly. And, you know, that sounds cliche, but it's true. You know, there's a lot of stuff going on in our world and our culture that I hope these kids, maybe through coming to the weight room and being consistent and working hard, and gives them more confidence that it can catapult them into their academics when they move on. So it's kind of the way I look at it here at this school right now.
I tell you what, man, the cool thing about sports, and we've had a lot of conversations here recently at my school, is sports actually developing characters and intentionality developing character. And I love that you're being intentional with doing those things that are going to impact them for their whole life, not just on the field, court, track, whatever it is, you know, like that emphasis I think is such a great deal for mentors, you know, like as a coach, we're mentoring these people. So I'm happy you're doing that too, Coach. You've got it going.
Thank you. I've been around some good people who've, I'd like to always give credit to the guys who I've been around. You know, if it wasn't for the people that I've had influence me in this profession, I wouldn't be here. And so those guys are so important to me. So I give them credit for that.
Well, if you want to give them credit, let's hear who's some of the people you want to give credit to. Let's go.
Oh man, let's see. Todd Barber from the U of A. He's probably one of the most influential people in this profession for sure. Fred Eves. I was talking to Fred Eves. I mean, he's awesome. Let's see, my buddy Rob Scott, he's helped me out a lot. And then Monty Sparkman, Kyle Keese, Jordan Johnson, the list can go on and on. That's probably one of my favorite things about the high school strength thing is I can call a strength coach in the high school sector just nearly on a whim, and they'll answer and talk to you. And so there's so many guys out there. Coach Garrish down in Florida has helped me out. And so those guys are doing it the right way as well. So.
Yeah, that's great. And one of the things that I find cool about the high school level, just like you're saying, is to be able to reach out. You know, it's one of those things where if we can continue to reach, grow, and just bring it back to our school and give our students a better opportunity for success, man, that's going to help everybody. You know, I like that. Good stuff, Coach.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of the namesake of the show, and you probably know a little bit about, you know, what the big time strength is behind is we want to make a big time experience for our student athletes. And my question for you is how are you doing that? What is it that you're doing to make sure that your students are getting the best that they can where they're at?
I guess it'd be kind of going back to what I was saying earlier. I think the big thing I try to do is be consistent of who I am every day. That way these kids, if they come in and they're struggling at home or something, or there's something going on, that they would feel comfortable talking to me. I can teach a kid how to squat and deadlift and all that, which is great. But hopefully I have found a balance of being able to joke around with these kids and work them hard. But at the end of the day, they know they're my kids, that I love them and I'll be behind them. And so hopefully that they are able to come in and sit down and talk to me in my office if something's going on. And so I think that's one thing I kind of pride myself on, is just trying to connect and be consistent with my kids. And I'm sure every coach is going to say that. But I think I really do kind of see the, more value into things in our life of like, okay, the kettlebell swings are important and all that, but I want to make sure things at home are okay. Your grades are down. If you need help, come find me. I'll try to help you out, stuff like that. I try to do the big time that way, go the extra mile there.
I do think that it needs to be stated as many times as we can that the building connection with your student athletes is the way to go, and be a relationship coach first and never be a transactional coach is something that our culture continually needs to hear and know. And I think you reinforcing that for our listeners and for me is something that's going to stick with me. I really appreciate when coaches can define what they're doing that way and say that's how they're making the big time. So very cool, Coach.
Yeah. I try to. Sets and reps and all that's important, but at the end of the day, the kid's struggling at home, I would rather help him out there.
Yeah, so. No doubt. Very good. So one of the things you talked about, is the sets and reps are important, but it's not the whole deal. Okay. What's some of the ways that you are building team camaraderie and developing leaders and kind of making the whole package? How do you go about being intentional with those things?
I give the kids responsibility, I guess. They have their sheets, they have their workout cards, they come in. And the way I have it set up right now is Monday's workout's the same, Wednesday's workout's the same, and Friday's workout's the same. And I'm not going to mix it up too much because a lot of these kids, their training age is very minimal. Even though they could be a sophomore, junior in high school, we're going to keep it basic. So I let them pull everything out, set it up, and then I also let them put it up and be good stewards of what the stuff we have. We have a very nice weight room, Sornex racks, play flooring. It's a nice setup, and so I want them to learn some responsibility. And then everybody's going to help out. Everybody's being a team. We also do challenges at the end of our workouts. We'll do dumbbell holds or we'll do competitions like that. And then I think the other thing is I'm just around the team. Like if there's a kid shooting hoops down on the court, I'll go down and rebound for him. I'll throw him a pass and I'll help him out. Or, I sit on the bench with the team. I drive the bus for the team and just trying to be around them and help see me be a leader. Hopefully that will rub off on them. So those are kind of some things I do, and the way I set up the weight room of just giving them responsibility and letting them take over. So
sounds like you're wearing a ton of hats.
Oh, yeah, I do wear a lot of hats. Yeah, I do. But it's fun. It keeps me on my toes for sure.
So you dove into it just a little bit, and you talked about you try to keep it pretty simple. Training age is low, but can you give us a rundown of your training philosophy? And I know that's a broad type of question, but I want to leave that open to you. However you want to attack that. What do you believe about training?
Well, the more I'm in this profession, the more I take out. And not to say I've been in this profession for a super long time like some other guys, but especially at the high school level, especially at the school I'm at, I just try to take as much out to get as simple as possible where we still get the results that we need. And so my first thing is, and a lot of coaches will say, is do no harm. I want the kids to move better. And then at the end of the day, I just want them to become stronger. I think stronger breeds confidence. And it's the best injury preventer out there. I can do all the band work and stuff, but if you're strong, it just helps with the injury prevention. So that's one of my big things. And I get tired of hearing the sport specific or their basketball strong or their baseball strong. Like you're either strong or you're not. And so we try to get strong. What I'm doing right now, and I took this idea, I got to give credit to Todd Barber again, just keeping it simple. And so we're doing lower body. We're going heavy lower body. And when I say heavy, like reps are under 5 and lower. And then we're going pretty much upper body, and we're just blowing it up. We're trying to go more bodybuilding type style for the upper body. And so our legs get strong, and then the upper body is just getting blown up. And so we do, like on Monday, I have them 3 sets of 10 on goblet squat, and then we go into some heavy work on back squat, 3 sets of 5. But we're keeping our upper body stuff that we're doing, single arm incline press, 3 sets of 10, and then we go 3 sets of 8 on our heavy work stuff. So trying to keep those legs strong, but just blow up the upper body for the kids so that way they get some confidence as well. So that's kind of a fun little thing I'm doing right now. And Wednesday's workout is trap bar deadlift, banded chins, and stuff like that. So that's where we're headed in our program.
And you said there was one more, just so that we can finish it out. What's Friday look like for you?
So Friday, we're doing 3 sets of 10 on rear foot elevated, and I call these just the warm-up sets, and then we go into our working sets, goblet squat, 3 sets of 5, but I also have it paired, so I'll just go down, rear foot elevated, push-ups, and then I do hamstring roller curls and dumbbell row. I give them 3 sets, just kind of warm up the body, just work on some movement, a lot of coordination. A lot of these kids need that, so they're just working on that. And when we hit our heavy work, it's goblet squat, 3 sets of 5, push-ups, 3 sets of max rep, and then we'll go dumbbell shrug, 3 sets of 20. But we also I have a little warm-up power work. Every day we use a med ball to start off with. We'll have a jump exercise, and then we also have some shoulder rehab, mini band pull-aparts or plate raise or face pull, depending on the day. So they're getting some type of med ball work, they're getting some type of jump, and they're getting some type of shoulder work in there as well in this workout. So it sounds kind of complicated maybe or a little different, but it's actually very simple, and I like it. And the kids like it too. They've been doing it for about 2 weeks now, and they know exactly what they're doing, and they've been like, oh my gosh, I feel bigger. And I'm like, well, you're 14, you're probably not bigger.
So I was just trying to scribble this down so I could follow it, but I like how you have the med ball jump and shoulder prior to. That's something that I started putting in there too, just activation / making sure that we're feeling like we're ready to go, and I kind of got away from like a dynamic stretch prior to lifting, and more of like like dynamic's pretty functional. I'm not saying that, but like things that we're going to do in the weight room, those foundational movements and some of the explosive movements that we could be adding in there, and then trying to get a little bit more bang for our buck. It's like every day we do a high knee pull or glute stretch or whatever, during our dynamic warm up, but like, we'll still run, but now if we add the jump, the med ball in there, so we get that going. And then like you're talking about some of that shoulder prehab stuff, like I think that's going to give us a more bang for our buck over the long term. So I like that you're adding that in there.
Yeah, we pull a lot. We do chins, we do face pulls, we do a lot of pulling rows, chest supported rows. And like I said earlier, I hadn't been in this profession a whole lot or too long, but the posture in kids in this day and age is awful. Like they're just sitting there looking at their phone. They're sitting all day. They're hunched over. So we pull a lot. I'm pretty sure our kids get tired of pulling, but we do it. So that's why we do so much pulling.
Right. Well, it's just posture, upper body wise. Well, posterior shoulders, a lot of people, they define it as one of the weak points, and not just people now, but over the long term. So if we can continue to strengthen shoulders and do those things and try to get their structure a little bit better, I think it's a win-win situation there.
Yeah, exactly.
How long, you said, you've been rolling with this for 2 weeks. What will it look like when you transition? Will you go to another cycle? Like how do you program things out? Maybe going from your macro cycle to a micro cycle. Maybe explain that for some of our listeners and me.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously my first thing depends on, they're playing another sport right now. So that's our off-season basketball, what we have right there, the 3 days a week. Mm-hmm. Track is going 2 days a week. And so when track finishes, we'll be close to summer. And I would like to go 4 days a week with everybody and go throughout the summer 4 days a week and really just work on some hypertrophy, trying to get them stronger, some muscle change and getting them bigger. And then once we get closer to end season, I would like to maybe go with some conjugate stuff once they feel more comfortable. And I've had a full summer of training with them. Last summer, we didn't get a full summer of training. And so this will be really our first summer that I've had them totally in the weight room. So I would like to run conjugate Monday, Wednesday, Friday, the dynamic effort, heavy, and then the rep day. I'd like to do that as well. So it honestly just kind of depends on the schedule of where our kids are headed, because we also have team basketball camp, and so many of our kids are playing basketball that, if they're all gone, I don't want them just totally beat up for their team camp. So I just kind of, after the cycle, see where we're at, sit back and think about what we could improve on the most, and then I just run with it there. I mean, that's not a great answer, but it's just kind of play it by ear as we get closer to the time of what our kids are doing.
Right. You've talked about people that have influenced you, and you've talked about some of your programming methodologies and just being able to sit back and see what your athletes need. But for someone to do that, they have to have somewhat of a trained eye, and they have to be around it for a decent amount of time. And with that, there's a lot of professional development that goes into it. What are some of the things that you're doing to stay on top of your game, right? So maybe it's books, articles, podcasts, videos, whatever it is. What are some of those things where you're just like, this is something I'd recommend to other people so that they can be where you're at?
Right. First thing is just reaching out to other people is my main thing. I'm an avid reader, but I'll be the first to admit I hardly recall anything I read. There's a lot of times I'll read and it's, you forget what you read. But if I go visit a coach and I see what he's doing, like I go up just 2-3 miles up the road and I go see Tyler Weddle at Shiloh or somebody like that, I see what they're doing and I can implement stuff that they're putting in their program that will be a good addition to mine, then I'll do that. That's the best way that I've learned, is going to visit people or calling people. I had a coach the other day. I had a kid I'm working on his running form, and I sent a video of it, and he instantly texted back and had all this stuff. And so that's my best way. Articles are great. I love Elite FTS, T-Nation, those type of articles. And then, I will read. I'm always trying to read. There's so many things out there now. TeamBuildr puts out good stuff. So I try to just, whatever I can get my hands on, really, whoever I can go visit, whatever helps me. I'll be honest, I haven't really been much of a podcast guy, and I need to do a better job of that because I know there's a lot of good stuff out there. So that is one area that I struggle with. And technology, I'll be the first to admit as well, I need to get better with technology. I'm not a very technological guy. I was raised on a farm and ranch, and so I was never really around it growing up, and I just struggle with technology. So there's a whole lot of stuff out there, data and tracking and all that I do a terrible job of, so I got to find a way to improve on that.
I tell you what, I'll get you all the links and everything you need, and you can listen to your own show on a podcast. You cool with that?
There we go. We go. I am awful with technology. So if anybody knows me, they know that I'm like the guy off Office Space wants to beat up the printer.
Yeah, there we go. Very good. Okay, so one of the things that you talk about with the technology and stuff, you say, okay, our best way is to actually go out and see people and do that professional development that way. When you run up the road to Shiloh or when you're reaching out to other coaches, what are some of the questions and stuff that you're asking them? What are some of the things that you're looking for?
Something new that I'm not doing. And I'm not saying this to throw bells and whistles in, but something that's new but simple. Like, okay, I could implement this with my high school kids and they grasp it instantly. So that's one of the things that I'm looking for. Maybe a good warm-up, something to include in my warm-up that's missing. Like, oh, that's a good exercise. I like that one. Or something in between the main exercises that I'm not doing. Like if we're doing a squat, what's something we could pair that with. So I'm looking for that. And then I'll pretty much ask them the same question you just asked me. What's something you're learning right now? Or what are you getting your hands on to become better? And have you read a good book lately, or have you listened to something? And so pretty much what you asked me. So first one is observe, and then the second one is just ask questions, or I'll be first to admit and say, why are you doing that? So, and I have a good relationship with everybody on staff at U of A, and so I can go up there and I'll ask them why they're doing stuff that they're doing. So.
It's nice being a college town in that way too, because what happens is there's a lot of professional development that comes to them, and that's,
yes.
Between clinics and that type of stuff, it's a good learning tool. But I like reaching out to all these high school coaches that are in the thick of things, man. It's good stuff.
Right. We're actually, speaking of clinics, we're putting on a Arkansas State clinic here in April down in Russellville. It'll be the first one. National High School Strength Coaches, association's putting on down there. And so that will be a fun opportunity to connect with some high school coaches down in Russellville. That's April 13th. So I'm excited about that, to reach out to some coaches in the state.
That's the NHS SCA has become a game changer for people to be able to connect and learn and grow and just get great information out there for all of our student athletes. So I would encourage, I'll try to, if you send me some stuff, or I'll look it up, and I can put the link in the show notes too. Try to get as many people as we can there.
Yeah, that would be great. And it's going to be, we got 5 high school coaches from around the state, and then the keynote speaker is going to be Coach Barber from the university, who I've mentioned earlier.
All right, so we're coming to the point where we can ask you some of your stuff, some specific to you. What is your favorite? What is your favorite book, Coach?
Oh, favorite book. It's called Fearless, and it's about a Navy SEAL from Arkansas. And it's funny, I still lived in Texas when I read this book and never even thought I'd be in Arkansas, but here I am. But by far one of the best books I've ever read. I would say if anybody is a reader, they need to read Fearless. I love the book. It's one I always recommend. And then as far as strength and conditioning, my favorite one, I love triphasic training. I really do. I've ran triphasic with my people at the U of A when I worked there, my athletes. I also did a little triphasic last year with basketball. And I just, when I read triphasic, I thought it was written just where it was easy to read and it was fun and it made sense. So that's my favorite strength and conditioning book is triphasic.
Awesome. That is a great rundown for the strength and conditioning. Tell me a little bit more about Fearless. What'd you pull away from Fearless? Why is it such a good book?
Oh, Fearless. So I'm not going to run anything but telling you this, because on the cover it says he gives his life so that others could live. And he pretty much put himself out there on the line where the rest of his men could live. But what he went through, I kind of compare it to a Josh Hamilton type story. Great kid growing up, but then he got into drugs and stuff, and then he turned his life around, gave his life to Christ, and was able to get into the Navy. He wanted to go to the SEALs, and they were like, oh, it's never going to happen, and some strings were pulled, and he got in, and then he trained, got SEAL Team 6, and I don't want to run the book here, but he goes through like 2 or 3 major catastrophes, physical catastrophes, and retrains again and gets certified again, and then goes to Afghanistan. It's an incredible book, and it talks about the balance of faith, family, and being a warrior, those 3 things, and it was awesome. I loved it.
That's awesome. That's going to have to be on my list now. I like it. Coach, what is your favorite quote?
I have quotes posted all over my bathroom wall, my mirror. I love quotes, but let's see. I'd say my favorite, it takes years of hard work to become an overnight success. And I read that once, and it just stuck. It takes years of hard work to become an overnight success. And then another one is Winston Churchill's, success is not final, failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. Those 2, I love both of those.
Those are great ones, Coach. I like those. I'm going to have to put those up somewhere. How about your favorite hobby outside of training? You're talking about pre-show. You're talking about the Ozark Mountains. You think they're pretty cool. You've been hiking or something?
I actually went hiking yesterday. It was a beautiful day here for the first time in forever, so I went hiking yesterday. I actually prefer to hike with a rifle. I'm from Texas, so I'm used to going hunting. So that's my favorite type of hiking is going when I go hunting. So I only do that when I get to go back home in Texas, but I do like to hike. I love to cook, though. I told somebody this the other day. I said, man, I wish I could take a cooking class. I love to cook. I love to entertain others and have people over. And then I just like, sounds cliche, but getting friends together and going to have dinner together and being around other friends. In this profession, I think it's great. You got to do it to have a balance of having a social life. We kind of pride ourselves in, man, I worked 12 hours today, or I did this, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, when was the last time you saw your friends? So I try to do that as well.
Good point there, Coach. How about if you had 15 minutes to train, what are you doing? So you yourself, you got 15 minutes. What are you doing with those 15 minutes to train?
I'm deadlifting. I love to deadlift. I might deadlift all 15 minutes. So I'll have to roll out the hamstring. I still got a nagging hamstring injury, but besides that, we're going to deadlift. I love trap bar deadlift. Trap bar is probably my favorite exercise. I think it's a good hybrid between a squat and a deadlift. I think it's easy to coach. And so I do it a lot with my kids, and I do it a lot with myself because, I don't know, you can pull a lot more weight, and you just feel a lot more confident when you're like, hey, I did this much weight. So I'm deadlifting in some capacity, either conventional or trap bar.
That's awesome. All right, Coach, who is a small school coach that's killing it and deserves a shout-out?
I'd say Rob Scott. I worked with him at the University of Arkansas, but he's now down at Cabot High School here in Arkansas. It's the third largest school in the state, and he is in a totally different situation than myself where numbers are not his issue. He has a ton of kids that he's working with, a ton of coaches, and he started there last July, and he has just killed it. He's already put in a brand new weight room and has the kids rocking and rolling. Rob Scott is doing a great job down there in Cabot.
Awesome, Coach. Thank you for that. I'm going to have to reach out to him.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a good dude.
That's great, man. There's something about, just being able to reach out to people and they just continue on to the next person. They say, hey, you need to reach out to this person. I like that so much, just being able to just connect with a bunch of people and learn. And just one last question for you. Is there anything you want other people to know about you, what you're doing at New School, or what's one last piece of advice that you'd want to share with our listeners?
Oh, I heard this the other day. And I don't have a family, I don't have kids yet, but hopefully one day that happens. And the person who was telling me this, they actually heard it from the other person, but they were saying we spend so much time making these kids great that we work with to make sure that you spend the time to make your own kids great. So that's one thing. Eventually when I have my own kids, it's going to be a reminder that I have to make my own kids great first. So I thought that was pretty cool. Nobody else might get anything out of that, but I thought it was pretty neat.
No, I do. I got a little guy at home now, man. That hits home. I like that. Coach, I really appreciate you taking the time on your spring break to talk to me. What is the best way for people to reach out to you if they have more questions?
Let's see. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can just message me, DM me, email me. Shoot, you can give them my cell phone. I don't care. You can call me on my cell phone. So it doesn't matter to me. I'm pretty easy going.
We might put all that stuff in the show notes for you then. Get some people contacting you. Coach, Perfect. Thank you so much. You're the man.
Appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon.